Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Passing Dimes. My name is Josh Nickel, and we finally got him. I feel like I've been chasing this guy for a while, but the longer we wait, the more his resume builds, so it's good. So when we asked you in the summer, that was before you had won nationals, so now you're a two-time national champion, including defending national champion. You've medaled on the Norceca Tour. You've represented Canada over 30 times in your what feels like a short career, but we'll talk about that. You've been around for a long time now, actually, as a Quebec guy coming to Ontario, and before you did that, you were a member of the Laval Rouge et Or, where you were pretty dominant for your 3 seasons there. So welcome to the show, Simon Fecteau-Boutin. Thanks for doing this, man.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, it's been a while that we've been talking about it, so finally we get to do it, so it's fun.
I think what I struggle with is your career still feels short, but you were one of the guys who moved here pretty early, I think. Like, did you give up university ball to come play full-time beach?
I didn't play my last year in university. My plan was to get some money, get ready to move to Toronto. And even my last semester of university, I took 8 classes because I wanted to graduate and move to Toronto. So I remember on a Friday having a big exam, and on the Saturday morning packing all my stuff and leave for Toronto.
Awesome. So that's obviously a big commitment, but with you growing up in Quebec, what was your opportunity to play beach, and why did you decide that the timing was right for you to come to the national team?
At first, I wasn't really too much into beach, really focus on indoor. And one of my good friend Fiji, François Guiala, was very into it, and he's the one that brought me to the sand. He needed a blocker, and he brought me in. Then we found a coach, and we got started, and then it became quickly like indoor and beach were just part of my life, and going from one to the other. And quickly I realized that if I wanted to take it further, I needed to join the national team, and moving to Toronto was the best move for me.
So were you identified at a tournament where you and Fiji would have played together, or was there a selection camp? Like, I was still working at the OVA, and I remember you arriving, and I think you played provincials, maybe with somebody else. Did you play with Rex Fenton maybe for a tournament?
I did. So in 2010, they had a selection camp early June for the summer karting. And I showed up, and I remember leaving having not really much expectation. Even the meeting I got with Leonard was pretty much, okay, maybe next time. And then a couple of weeks later, I received an email saying, hey, you have 4 months karting, and then realized that, hey, I should probably come and try to train 1 week in Toronto. And then they arranged for me to play provincial. And yeah, Rex and I won it in 2010, so that was fun. Yeah,
this beach thing's easy. You just show up, meet your partner, and away you go with it, right?
Yeah, well, you know what, sometimes when you just go with the flow, good things happen. But yeah, it was a good time playing with Rex.
Nice. So with you going to Laval, obviously they've been competitive for whatever. It feels like they've been very, very dominant in the RSEQ. What was your recruiting process like when you were leaving high school and club? Like, was Laval the right school for you because of volleyball, or did you also like the academics you were going to get there as well?
Well, for us it's a bit different, having Cégep before university. So went to Limoilou for 2 years, and then that's the natural path, right? You play in Limoilou, it's also in Quebec City, and then you also get to train once in a while against Laval. And I met Pascal Clément, who's about to retire after this season. My last year of high school, when I went to Canada game in Saskatchewan. So then you just, I don't know, it's part of the path, right? You play to Limoilou, you go to Laval, and like you want to keep going with the same guy you've played with and won with, and so that's why I went there. Yeah.
Nice. And with Pascal being there for so long and so successful, does anything stand out in your mind of how he's been able to put it together for so long? Obviously, the partnership with Limoilou, I mean, it's a volleyball factory there, and they've got a good thing going. But anything stand out from practices or the way they handle competition that really helped you improve?
Well, Pascal is very committed to create drills and practices, and no matter what happened in the game, he's gonna find something that we need to work on and try to invent a new drill or a new way to work on it. He's very creative, so I think that helped a lot. But I think he keeps the culture of winning. So as a rookie, you arrive, you see the older guys, there's a way of doing everything that you want to follow, and that everybody kept with the year. So that's why it's a very successful program.
Now, we were just talking before the show about how successful you were at Laval, and you played in nationals all 3 seasons you were there. Who were some of your teammates? Because I think we talked the other day. Carl de Grandpré was one of the guys you played with. Who else did you kind of go through either Limoilou and Laval, or just maybe would have competed with at Laval that some of our listeners would recognize?
Carl de Grandpré, I played in Limoilou and Laval. Fred Desbiens was there my first 2 years. Olivier Fauché was the setter from Ontario. Thierry Lavigne was our captain my first 2 years. Who else I played? Fred Mondou. Justin Boudreau was my setter in my last year. A lot of guys that played a bit. Jérémy Lortie, also from Ontario, was there in my last year. And not so long after, they put everything together and won in 2013. So, yeah.
And how did Pascal and the vets and the other coaches there manage kind of the expectations of Laval, right? Because regular season was meaningful, but you guys would obviously have nationals probably circled on your calendar pretty early. So how did you make sure you were meeting expectations and standards where maybe something that happened in regular season, you just know it wasn't going to get it done at nationals, right? How did you guys stay connected to nationals being the big goal?
I think the toughest part was, and no offense to our opponent back then, is that the caliber out west was way stronger than what we had during the regular season. So Pascal was always looking for opportunities to go somewhere, or we would always go play Queens a couple times, or they would come and then try to bring in a team from out west for 2 or 3 games before the season. And our standards was always not based on the league or the regular season. Is we want to win nationals, so that's what we were striving for, and we need to, even if we win 25-12 or 13, and that's not exactly it, then that was our standard. So that's how we kept it all together to focus every year on nationals.
Did you speak to Pascal about committing to beach full time? How did that conversation go when you decided you weren't going to return for your 4th year?
I think it was hard for him to really understand. I think in my 2nd year, I already mentioned, I think in my last year meeting, that my 3rd year would be my last one. I don't really think he took it seriously. I think it was, well, we'll see later. And I think for him it was, really hard to understand why I would not play my last year. Looking back at it, I could have played my last year, but as every beach volleyball player would know by now, that if you're not financially ready when you make the move, it can hurt you a lot, because when you have to pay for everything, and if you don't have it together, or you don't have a little bit aside when you move and you make mistakes, or you're not sure what you're going to do. But Pascal, he understood what I wanted to do, but there's not a lot of players that choose not to play their last year.
Did you have any expectations when you arrived in Toronto? What was that first summer like in terms of, did you ever second guess that you made a poor decision, or because it was kind of you were very good at the sport, but you're still kind of new, so there's probably a lot of learning and a lot of new stuff that you could feel like you could focus on, right? But did you ever kind of go, man, these Ontario guys, they're not for me. I kind of miss my university buddies. We had a good thing at Laval. Did anything kind of creep into your mind?
Oh, for sure. There's a cultural difference that, whether or not we're from the same country, Quebec and Ontario are very, very different. So at first, and even my first weeks of training, doing everything in English was exhausting. My brain was just fried. And I remember, and I played my first season with Cam Whelan, and I was from Thursday and Friday, my practices were not so good because I was exhausted. It was a lot. It just, not only volleyball is different, everything else is different. But I knew that at some point I would get over it, and I was lucky enough that my first summer, my first beach partner, Fiji, moved in also for the summer with me. He played with Mike Lantinga that summer, so that really, really helped make things a bit smoother. But no, honestly, I never doubted myself that was not the right move, knowing that at any point, if I wasn't happy, I could go back. Right. There was nothing, but no, and I never really considered going back to Quebec. I think that for me, for volleyball, that was the right move too. could be in Toronto.
Now, I'm trying to think back. You mentioned Fiji was there. Were there any other Quebecers with the national team program? Because I feel like you were in my mind, you're either one of the guys who were here earlier or you're the one that's stuck it out the longest, right? So,
well, the longest for sure, Carl de Grandpré had the carding for 1 year.
That's right, okay.
And since before this year, when Ivan finally got it, and Hugo and other younger guys from Quebec got it, Johan and Guillaume as well, I think there were only Carl and me that had carding. And, so since I got it for 6 years, I think I can rest a little bit. I don't think my record is in danger for now, but not a lot of guys, so I felt a bit lonely for a while, but I'm glad that it's changing slowly.
Yeah, it should be a good summer. We should actually have some theme days where you're only allowed to speak French, and I would have to kick it into gear because you mentioned yourself and Ivan, but once Guillaume gets here, and Hugo and Johan, Jeremy, and Johan, and we got MC on the women's side, and even Alex Russell, I found out the other day, speaks French very well. So
Liam too.
So we're moving in the right direction here.
Maybe one day. We'll see. But it'd be interesting, I think, to try to have a practice in French for Liam and Russ. I think they could do it.
I think they could pull it off. So you move here, you're training, you're competing at the highest level, you're meeting partners, you're doing that whole thing. Do you remember the first time you went on tour, whether it was in Norceca or the FIB? Like what your first impression of international volleyball was?
I had the opportunity to play international event before I moved to Toronto, but it was a bit different because I went to the Franco game, I went to the World University game.
Oh, okay.
It's different because they're longer tournaments, you have more opportunities. Even my first Norceca, you play 3-4 matches. You get a chance to find your rhythm, but I think the first time, I think in 2013 with Ryan De Bruin, when I went to Argentina for a tournament, and you go there, you lose first game, and you realize that my tournament is over. That's when you really, it's not easy, but that's the whole thing. You there's nothing that you get right away. You need to win and deserve every point and every game that you get. That's when I realized that, okay, I got into something way harder than I thought. And that's when that's a good challenge. I'm like, that's what I want to do. And even now, that's what the World Tour is all about. That you go there, and if you don't take care of that opportunity, well, somebody else will, and they will get that main draw and those points, and then more opportunity are going their way. So, yeah.
Do you ever get used to that? Like you've played for Canada over 30 times, and a bunch of those have been on the World Tour, but do you ever get used to the feeling of stepping off the plane knowing you have to qualify? And how different is it for you knowing when you step off the plane and you're already in the main draw?
It is I think every player, even I remember when Kerry Walsh played in a qualifier, and right after she said she had so much respect for athletes that do it every weekend, because when you're in the main draw, you get already 2 games. You have it's not easier, but you get used to it, and then you win 1 game, then you get more points, and you stay in the main draw. And in the qualifier, you need to be ready that there's no time to find rhythm on your serve over 3 games. You need to win that one. It's just that mentality that I'm going all out right away. There's no easing into a qualifier. It's going at it.
Yeah, and I think with our sport, with just a lot of attention being on the finances, as you kind of discussed, that you mentioned you kind of had your act together and you were ready to dive in, where other people, if they're not ready, it can become a stress. And I think that's the biggest thing in the qualifiers. You're on your own for your flight, like everybody else is, but if you don't qualify, then accommodation is on you, meals are on you, versus the main draw. You're checking into the hotel, you're getting it covered until you're eliminated. So there are a lot of distractions, I think, coming with the qualifier, and it just kind of magnifies the results, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And thinking about it, the advice I would give to a young volleyball player, and it's crazy because you think it would be, just make sure you do all your workout, that you train hard. And you know what? I would tell any athlete that wants to do beach volleyball, start your credit soon. Make sure that you get like your finances, everything organized. Learn how to book flights or hotel. All to organize your practices, all those skills. The sooner you get, it makes a big difference in your performance. And even that's the part in preseason that really sucks. It's to organize, practice, make sure that all your schedule is right, that you can do everything. That's the worst part. When it gets to get on a plane and play beach volleyball, that's the easiest part. Actually, when I'm checking into my flight, I'm at the airport, and all I have to focus on is volleyball and winning. That's the best feeling in the world. Like, all right, that's for the next week or so. That's what I'm doing. That's great.
And some of our listeners might not realize, for you have a full-time career. Like you're an athletic director, I believe, at your school. You're a teacher as well. Like you have a lot on the books. So how do you manage that, where a lot of our athletes are full-time beach, and I think their time management, like you just mentioned, booking flights and figuring out everything that goes around with, like, where do you transfer, when do you leave, what day do you want to arrive, all heat acclimation, all that stuff. You're doing that on top of not only a full-time career, but also being married as well, right? So there seems to be a lot on your plate right now that you're managing.
Yeah, that's a lot. But again, I feel that if everything goes well, if everything is positive, then they all support each other. My wife is extremely supportive of me chasing my dream. My work is also supportive, and working with kids is great. It keeps you down to earth. So yes, it's very busy, and at some time of the year, like preseason, something I wonder, why am I doing this to myself? But when I get through it, then it's just, I get to do everything I want to do, and as long as I can keep a balance in between everything, I think that's the best plan, because I know that I'm financially stable. I know that I have someone at home that supports me, and then I get to play the game I love. So as long as everything balance each other, and I'll keep playing. But yeah, sometimes I wonder, and when people ask me, so you have a full-time job? Yeah, and you train also full-time? Yeah, that's where the problem in the scheduling come in, but
Nice. So one thing I want to talk about, because you've had success on this tour, and I think the Norceca Tour is very good. Why I think it doesn't get a lot of attention is just because the website's difficult, the schedule doesn't come out. Like, it's hard to be a fan of the Norceca Tour because everything is reactive. You don't really know what's happening until it's almost already happened, right? So, but you who've been on the ground, what do you remember from the early days of Norceca? Because I think sometimes people don't speak highly of it because it's not the same as World Tour, but our Continental Tour is still very good. And as you mentioned, the format is a little bit more favorable for athletes when they're developing, because you know when you get off the plane that you're going to have pool play, like you're already in the main draw of the tournament, right? So what do you think of the Norceca circuit, and what have you gotten out of that for your own development?
It's like you said, it's great because you play many games. You get there, it's pool play, and then playoff, and even there's ranking games, so you have many opportunities to play. And you play over 3 days. That's also something that you want to work on and get ready. I agree with you that just the fact that the website and that the organizations can be a bit sketchy doesn't get much attention. But in the past 2 or 3 years, the caliber has been getting way better, and not only because like the American or the Cuban send stronger team. No, a lot of Central American teams, Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Costa Rica, their team are getting better and stronger, and that makes for a very, very good tour. But if you compare it to the European circuit, let's just say that the courts and the organization is a bit different. But again, I don't think I would change it. It makes for great stories, and you got to be ready for everything. Norceca circuit, you go to bed without a schedule. That's normal. You wake up at 7 to check the schedule, and then you might not even play until 2 p.m. So, hey, it is what it is. The courts are not ready the day before. Well, you got to trust that you'll bring your best game the day after. And I could bring some other example, but I think my most famous quote about the Norceca circuit is that you wait more than you play. You will wait for the shuttle. You will wait for the technical meeting. You will wait for your game. and eventually you might play some volleyball.
Yeah, you really have to stay tough. We were talking just the other day on break there, and Ivan mentioned that he was supposed to have an 11 o'clock game that didn't start till 1:30. The last time I talked to MC The Point about in Norceca, she mentioned the courts were beside a school, and when recess would hit, they would go to the courts and they'd want to play outside, obviously. And they kind of had like a standoff with these kids thinking like, well, you're in our space. And the professional volleyballers like, yeah, but there's a tournament and you're on the court. So it was just like this weird standoff of getting bossed around by some fourth graders probably. So in your experience, what's a good one you can give us where you're at Norceca and you're just like, wow, we're professional athletes and this is happening. I can't believe it.
I think that's many things that have been found like on the court. Personally, I found a full like half a bottle of beer that was just buried in the sand, and I got booed for it in Mexico. What else? Well, I've seen waves got all the way to the court, so you pass the ball and then you feel the water hit your legs, and then you gotta jump and hit, and you just keep playing. I've seen a video. I wasn't there, but a goat that just went on the court during a game. It's hard to explain, but I think that's the good thing about the Norceca circuit. You're ready for everything after.
You have to be. Like, even players talking about there's supposed to be night games, and you're like, oh, I don't see any lights set up until they pull cars around and they start flashing like the headlights on the court, right? Like, just...
Yeah. Puerto Rico, I played a game with Christmas lights on the stands, and that was it. So the first set you play, you can see the ball, and then you're like, all right, whoever can see the ball is going to win that one, because there's nothing else you can do. There's just no lights, you know? Yeah,
I think the big thing that always makes me kind of relax is none of this is done with like malicious intent. Like, they honestly think they're helping or they're trying to run the tournament. It's just so funny that we come from such a structured sport environment that when we show up a day early before the tournament trying to train and there's no court, like, we have a little bit of a freak out where I'm sure there's some Central America countries who are just kind of like, meh, like it'll get done in time.
Exactly, it is what it is. But there's also the fun part. The community of the Norceca circuit is great because for us, we need to qualify to go there, play Norceca trial. For other countries, they only have 1 or 2 teams. So you get to see the same team, the same athlete, regularly on the tour. So it's not like a FIB World Tour when you get more the main draw teams that hang out together, then qualifier, and then when you're out, you just leave as soon as you can. Norceca, you arrive on the Thursday night, you leave on the Monday morning. So you're in or you're out of the event, you're gonna stay there the whole time. So you get to get to know people better, and that's what makes it very special.
Now, were you at the Norceca last year because it was a World Championship year? I believe Ontiveros and Virgin played in one. Tri-Born was at a Norceca. Like, there was some very competitive ones. I think
that's not the one I played. I think it was in Mexico. But yeah, Mexico generally send a good team. Cuba as well. But yeah, depending, it's a hit or miss. I've seen some Norceca that were, I would say, with 6 to 8 very strong team, and there's other when you would say that there's only 3 or 4 contenders. So you never know. But like I said, it got better than it was, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago, and now there's a lot of stronger team that you cannot take. It's got to be an automatic win.
So speaking of being adaptable, maybe this is what Norceca has done to both of you, but there was a neat story last year where your partner gets injured, Jake's partner gets injured, so you guys just decide to go together and you get a podium finish, right? So what do you remember about that event how many practices did you guys actually have before you went to the tournament?
Well, Ivan got injured on the Saturday before the tournament, and I knew that Will might not be able to go, so dropped Ivan at Sunnybrook Hospital, and on the car I called Jake, say, hey Jake, so do you think Will can play this weekend, because Ivan just got injured badly, and he told me right away, you know what, no, I don't think Will's going to be able to play. So he said, give me a few hours, I just confirm everything, and then we decided, okay, let's do this. Sunday morning we set up a practice. I think we got another one on Tuesday, and then we decided to just go with it, and it was a great experience. Jake is a very intense and passionate volleyball player, and we went there and said, okay, let's just go there. We figured out our style of play quickly, went at it, and great experience. Yeah, get to reach the final, especially that my last Norceca medal was from 2013. So it was a long time waiting for that next one. And yes, it was a great experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember if that was Jake's first or if he would have got one with Liam.
He
what
got
the order
one with
was
Liam
before he played with you.
Before.
So nice. Yeah, I think.
Well, we got a silver. They got a bronze. So.
Yeah, I mean, you got him to the final, and the big running joke over the winter was that you and Jake were actually Canada 3. I think if we were just to keep you together with the points you had accumulated over the last few events, right? So.
Yeah. It's just always tough to if you start to calculate all the points, all the possibilities, then. Yeah, you might go in the different ways, but I'm excited to see what Ivan and I can do this season.
Yeah, so you guys partnered up last year and had some success. A bit of I think there was an injury that was kind of not great time. It's never a good time to get hurt, but I think you and Ivan were definitely trending in the right direction. And then he had the finger thing, right? So now that it's preseason and everybody's excited again, what are you looking forward to this year? You guys got Cambodia coming up, and then. Kind of what are you looking forward to this year as you defend your national championship, but you're also going to hit the road and play probably as much as you can, right?
Yeah. The first year of a partnership is like a lot of getting to know each other, even though Ivan and I, like, we knew each other, but not at the point of traveling and be on the court under pressure. So that was what we did, I would say, the first part of the season. We got to know each other, and then June, when we went to Montreal to play the Challenger Celtic, that's when I feel like everything finally clicked in. And after that, we started to play our best volleyball. And now just to see from what we started a year ago to the point that we are now, we're very excited. And that's why having a Norceca trial this upcoming weekend and going all the way to Cambodia, because it's great time to go to Asia right now. It's gonna be fun. We're just ready to get tested and go out there and get that qualification for Cambodia, and then not long after Australia. We'll try to get in one of the National Tour event and then the 3-star. And just to make my life crazy, I'm gonna go back from Australia, work for one day, and then go to Mexico, to Cancun. So it should be fun. Yeah.
Nice. And have you felt any expectations to kind of be the leader, not based on your experience, but also the age difference with Ivan, right? Have you felt that you've had to, put the hammer down a couple times and be the authority figure, or how's the partnership working out this year?
Well, I honestly, I don't want to be the old guy that tried to teach the younger one, well, you should do this, you should do that. And from my former partnership with Hugo, when I very quickly decided that, okay, I have a certain experience, but I don't want to cage you. It's go at it. And with Ivan, it was the same. At first, like, okay, let's go be yourself. And even though I'm a bit older, quickly when you're a volleyball court, it doesn't really matter. And yeah, for sure, I bring more. I would say stability, having just my whole life more together. But I don't want to be the old guy that is always saying, well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And as a teacher, I know that if you try to be the authority always, it's not gonna work. But no, and hopefully at some point Ivan is also the mature one that tells me that, hey, Simon, you should take it easy. But we'll see.
Nice, and we should give a shout out to your coach. I consider him a personal friend. Alain Arsenault has been working with you guys. Yep. What have you enjoyed with Alain, and how did you actually get to meet him? Was that a connection through Ivan and his indoor club at Phoenix, or how did you kind of come across him?
Oh yeah, we already all knew each other, and even was with Phoenix working with Alain a bit more, and then we realized that he's a great coach. He speaks French. That'd probably be a good matchup for us to work together. And no, it's been very great. Alain is very good at making you uncomfortable on the court to make you grow and expand your game, that make you question everything. So I'm not gonna lie, you have a 2-hour practice with Alain and you're very mad after. He achieved his goal. He's not gonna keep you in your comfort zone and think, oh, you're so great. No, he pushes you and he makes you very uncomfortable, and that's why we want to work with him. If that's a bit crazy, but it works for us.
Yeah, that was one of the many benefits for me when you guys played in the Toronto Pro Beach League. Is I got to see Al a couple times on the Sunday nights there. For your preseason, what did you think of the league? I know it was our first year and we're still kind of bouncing ideas, and it was a good learning opportunity. But did that kind of meet your expectations for getting some meaningful games in with Ivan, a chance to play for some prize money, just the little things like that?
Yeah, I think that especially preseason, having games with the ref, just get into that rhythm that the whistle is going to be a bit faster than you get in practice. I think that was good. For sure, we hope that more of the national team athlete would sign up. Unfortunately, the fact that Will Hoey got injured didn't help, but it was very interesting. And being in 2 golden set when you have to play 1 point, and you don't control everything, and you need to just focus that, okay, like no matter what the girls do on the court, all I can do is focus on the next point. It was good to work on our mental toughness. So I really like the experience and look forward to see if the league can grow some more.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The way Ben has written the overtime set or the golden set, I didn't really know what it was until I saw it, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "This is awesome!" So I'm glad you enjoyed it and brought a high caliber to the league. And now the biggest challenge is to get people out to watch. I think the players were engaged, the officials got some development because they got to ref in their off season. So no, it was all a great experience overall. We just got to figure out, it's for the kids. We got to get them out a little bit.
Well, like you said, it's just to get it started, and then you can expand it and find a way to get the kids involved. And I'm sure you'll do a great job as the commissioner of the league.
It's a great title. One thing I did want to speak to you about, I know you've called Ontario home for a lot of years. I just wondered if you could comment just on the Quebec affiliate program. So for our listeners who don't know what that is, Vincent in Quebec has done a great job getting athletes to kind of treat beach a little bit more professionally for some of the younger athletes, whether they're only available to train in the summer or whether they want to do it year round. But that program being affiliated with the national team, it seems like has paid off, and it seems every year we have more Quebec athletes who are very competitive, either coming to Ontario or when Ontario goes to Quebec to play in that circuit, or even at national championships, right? So as a guy who's technically an affiliate, even though I feel like you've been in Ontario since 2010, like you mentioned, what is Vincent doing so well that's kind of created the foundation for that program?
I think that's what's hard to understand about the program is it's not a base program. It's more a service program. So Vincent is there to support the athlete any way he can. And it's not always there to run practice, but it's for discussion, try to help them, or just having someone that is the link in between the athlete and the national team. But Vincent has done an amazing job getting the youth more interested and involved in beach volleyball. And last summer, he told me that he had an optional week of training with the provincial team. And he told the athlete, you know what, I cannot pay for your accommodation for that week. And the athlete said, we don't care. We'll all go to friends or other athletes, and we want to train that extra week because he's so passionate about the sport and he shares it so well. And I think that his main goal is to bring all the athletes at their max potential, knowing that not all the athletes have the same potential, but the fact that he believes in everyone to get better, got all the kids interested. And then they move into the affiliate program when they get more involved with the national team. So that's why Quebec athletes are getting more present on the national team.
Yeah, I think between the affiliate program and then we kind of touched on it, I hope we can take a deeper dive just about kind of the pro tour thing they've got going on. I guess it's not a true pro tour because the prize money isn't quite there, but it does feel like you can play 3 or 4 events for money.
Yeah.
And the adult participation is actually pretty high in Quebec. So who deserves this credit? Is it Volleyball Quebec? Is it promoters, or is it everybody doing their part? Like, just talk about the circuit of how many events you can play in and kind of what money's on the line in Quebec.
Yeah, I want to say it's 3 or 4 years ago, Volleyball Quebec decided to not be the main organizer of the tour, but just support and provide whatever the promoter needed. And since then, there's, I want to say four or five, let's see when we count them, events. So we have the Open de Boucherville, that was the first one. I think the first year, 2,000 was the prize money for the winner. And then the Grand Prix Beach Quebec. Last year, I think 3,000 for the winner. And what else? We have the Challenger Celtic that is another event that is starting in Montreal. And I think the most interesting one was in Gaspésie, which is 8.5 hours from Quebec City, further east. Yeah, it's a small city that just decided they wanted to organize a beach volleyball event. And they had 3,500 for the winner, which is good money, honestly. And Ivan and I doing well in all of those events last summer. It helped pay a lot of our flights from the season. But I think that it's just that passionate organizer decided to go out there and build an event that is worth it for the athlete and their community. And like you said, it's almost a pro tour, but it's good that you get 3 or 4 domestic events that can help you to fund your traveling if you do well. But just the fact that last year 2 events had qualifier for men's, it's crazy. The last time they had, I played in qualifiers in Quebec in 2007 or 2008 when I just started to discover beach, but it's great for the sport that so many athletes want to get involved.
Yeah, I think I don't know whose role it would be or who can kind of connect all these good things going, but between Van Open's got to be the best domestic event in Canada, and then the OVA does a great job on the Grand Slam, and with Quebec having some events that if we could just connect those, then I'm sure Manitoba, Sask, Alberta, they want to be involved. Out East was doing a great job with Halifax and Sand Slam, and I think they went to PEI one year as well. So it just feels like if somebody were to ever kind of get that going, there's already a lot of great people doing stuff in their own pockets that we're closer to a pro tour than I ever thought, actually.
Yeah, I have no idea how we can bring everything as a pro tour together. I think it's a question of sponsors and so on, but I know that they communicate with each other. I know that there's that, okay, what can we do better? I know that the OVA Grand Slam is on the calendar of the Quebec Tour and vice versa, cool. That they support each other event and they make sure that they don't conflict with one another. I don't know how that could happen, but it'd be amazing to have a pro tour. Since I don't plan to retire anytime soon, that'd be good that we can get that going.
Awesome. Well, I'm just looking at the clock. I know you're a busy guy, as we've stated earlier. You've actually made time before a training session to get this interview done, so I want to thank you for that. But I'm just wondering, did you save any stories from the road? We're a big storytelling podcast where I think you've established yourself as a national team player for a long time. You've played at the highest level, but man, some crazy stuff happens on the road every once in a while. I'm wondering, did we take all the stories from Norceca? You got one more you could leave us with a laugh?
One more that is... when we went to Bonaire this year for Norceca, just the fact that we got to the event is crazy, because on the Tuesday night or 2 weeks before, I think I booked my flight, I received an email from Flight Network saying that, hey, you know what, we don't have your return flight, there's something that went wrong. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I just bought my flight. And then say, yeah, but if you want to book another ticket, there's only like business class and they're double the price. And I'm like, ugh. So finally decided that no time to waste, I'm just going to book that flight. And then the day before we leave to Bonaire, we get an email saying, you know what, your flight from Toronto is going to leave an hour later since the crew arrived too late and they need their rest. So you're going to miss your connection in Miami. But we can still get you there 2 days later. No, that's not what we want. And then just a lot of stress, called at Drake saying, well, what should we do? Called the airline, what can we do? We tried to look at different patterns. And then we finally look and see that the flight from Toronto to Miami generally arrives 45 minutes to an hour early. So Ivan and I look at each other and say, you know what, let's let's gamble. Let's go at it. So we just booked very expensive flight, and we leave knowing fully that if we miss our connection, we cannot get there until 2 days. It's too late. So I might just take a flight to Miami and then take a flight back to Toronto.
Holy.
And we were fortunate enough that everything went well, and we got on that connection flight, and we made it to the event. Yeah, I know. And then you arrive, and then it's crazy because like pressure to play volleyball. No, that's nothing with what we had like the upcoming days before the event. So let's just go and have fun.
Yeah, you touched on that earlier. That's so funny that the easy part is playing volleyball when you're booking your own travel and trying to find connections, and even a unique tournament like Bonaire. Like it's not like you can go there every day, right? So
no, not a lot of flights going there, but we're just glad we made it to that tiny island and we got to play the event. But yeah, we almost didn't make it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for taking the time to do this. Good luck at trials, and then you're off to Cambodia, and then it feels like the season's going to hit us pretty fast here. So good luck with everything you and Yvonne have planned, and looking forward to a big season.
Thanks, and hoping that you don't make me wait another year for the next time you have me on the show.
Awesome, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks.